Show me.
Hello everybody, Martial Arts Film Freak here, and I am excited for this one. Today, I have an interview with the person who you already saw in the thumbnail, you already saw in the title. He's the reason you clicked on this thing. I talked to the choreographer, the fight choreographer of the new Dev Patel film, Monkey Man. He, of course, has worked on various films with Jackie Chan, Yuen Woo-ping, Scott Adkins. He is the main villain in Boyka Undisputed 4. So many things. Of course, I am talking to Brahim Chab. Brahim has been a staple of the action martial arts scene for almost the past 15 years, doing excellent films out of Thailand, India, Indonesia, the UK, all over Europe with Jackie Chan and his team. He, of course, was also in Man of Tai Chi, fighting Tiger Chen, directed by Keanu Reeves. I don't know why I pointed Keanu Reeves. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Let's jump into my interview with Brahim Chab. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to have the very talented fight choreographer, stuntman, actor, Brahim Chab. Brahim, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. And you?
I am doing fantastic. Very, very excited to have you here. You're currently in France, correct?
Yes, I moved back to France a couple of years ago. So I just go back to Thailand just for work and also because I have a house there. So I just go back and forth sometime when I have time.
Okay. How frequently do you find yourself having to fly back and forth?
Uh, well, I had to fly back last year to take care of some paperwork because of I just had a son. He's
Mm-hmm.
6 months old, so I had to fly back to take care of some paperwork. But usually not that much anymore. Sometimes.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And I know that you grew up in France. You started doing after seeing some Jackie Chan movies, started doing martial arts and got a little bit of stunt work in France before going to Thailand. I've heard you talk about how like there's not much of an action industry in France.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, there was not so much going on. There was
Right.
like a lot of movies. They were basically recording a lot of let's say like basic stunts, not basic, but like physical stunts, like car hits, a torch,
Mm-hmm.
fire, high falls, all that kind of stuff. So I was never really that interested on that side. So I wanted more like to pursue the fighting side, the martial arts side. So that's why I moved to Thailand when I was 22 years old.
Mm.
A friend of mine took me there with a bunch of other guys, and then I saw an opportunity there. That's why at first, when I started my career, I stuck around there because I saw like an opportunity because there was a lot of Hollywood movies back in the days. They were shooting in Thailand, and
Mm.
there was a big demand for tricking at the time. So I was specialized in tricking back then. So I used that to my advantage, let's say, to start a career.
Is there a? Do you think there's any specific reason that there wasn't much of like much action going on in France? Because I've heard similar situations of like Germany doesn't have the biggest action industry over there.
Well, the thing is this, okay? When you live in France or in Germany, I think it's the same problem. When you work as a stunt guy, you're really gonna be required to do everything, which is like
Mm.
you have to be like almost like a salad, a salad with
Right.
only lettuce inside. It's not interesting. So you need to have like uh, cars. You need to know how to use a car, how to drive a bike, do fire, wire, rig a car, all that kind of stuff. Kind
Be a
of like
swimmer
I
or
said, a
something.
salad. It's a lot of stuff in a salad. So the more stuff you have, the more the salad is going to be delicious, right? So that's how
Right.
it is in Europe mostly. But in Asia, when you would work in Thailand at the time, they wouldn't require you to do that kind of stuff. Like they would really specifically pick you because you can deliver some martial art and also
Mm.
because you're a foreigner. So there was a lot of good opportunities back then. And let's say right now, not at all. It's dead in Thailand. It's kind of like what
Mhm.
happened to Hong Kong back in the days in the late 90s.
Yeah.
You had all these foreigners going there and doing these movies, and then one day it completely stopped. So it's kind
Mm.
of the same with Thailand. Everything went downhill, and yeah, so it's the same. Like there was not a lot of demand back then in Europe for martial art and that stuff, but now it completely changed now because there are a lot of TV shows that are demanding martial arts, like Into the Badlands that's shot
Mhm.
in Ireland. The Witcher, it's been shot in Hungary, I think in Germany as well. So there are more and more demand now. It's not the same as before. Now,
Right.
martial art is like a specialty now.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of good stuff in the past few years coming out of Poland.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. A lot of like Eastern Europe, they have a lot of very good talented stunt performers. Like, okay, like for example, a movie like Boyka, it's shot in Bulgaria.
Mm.
So yeah, now it's not the same as before.
Right. Was it Mike Leader that got you some of your earlier work in Thailand?
Not at all, no. When I moved to Thailand first, there was a friend of mine he owned like a gymnastics school in
Mm.
Paris. And me and a few friends were teaching for him there. So we had so much students back then that actually we didn't really need to move to Thailand because we had so many students that the business
Mm.
was doing so well. But then he invited us for a holiday, and then he told us to basically like do a casting for Ong Bak too.
Mm.
So we didn't get anything at the casting, but we met Tony Jaa and all that. And at first in Thailand, all my work was coming from people that I knew, basically. Like, I would meet people uh, in the training hall. Someone would say, "Oh, there's a casting here." Somebody would say, "There's a casting there." Then you would meet like this stunt coordinator and then that stunt coordinator. And then later on, I started to do my own things there. I was already fight coordinator, stunt coordinator. Within 5 years that I moved to Thailand.
Mm.
So Mike Leader, he really helped me when I started to work in China and in Hong Kong.
Right. That makes sense.
I yeah, I used to send him my reels every year. I would update my reel and I would send it to him politely, telling him, "Okay, here is my new reel." And I started to work with him. First time it was on Man of Tai Chi. I sent my stuff to him. I got that Taekwondo fighter part. After that, I worked with him again. I think that was I worked so many times for him with him. I don't even remember. I think I worked again with him on Pound of Flesh, and then
Mm.
he got me that as well. Then I worked with him again on Abduction, Sam,
Right.
and then we worked again together on Big Brother, and then we worked together again on Customs Frontline. So yeah, now I consider Mike like he's like one of my best friends,
Right.
and he's probably the most I would say legit agent there is in Hong Kong to
Mm.
get work. Like if you want, like like you got to be serious with him. He
Right.
doesn't take shit, Mike. So when you send him your stuff, you have to be like, okay, it has to be straightforward. But he is one of the I would say he's the most legit guy there is in Hong Kong. If you want to work and he's professional, whenever I worked with him, it's always been like everything on the paper straight, no bullshit. He's very professional, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I like to work with him, and he's very very good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm just a fan on the outside looking into the world of action martial arts cinema, but like us fans, we cherish Mike Leader just as like he's our insider who like opens the door and lets us peek inside. You know, he does all the commentaries on all the releases that we get like in the West, and just as that guy who has all that experience, what kind of I guess advice or lessons has he given you over the years?
Well, the most valuable lesson Mike gave me over the years is to always send your reel when he's asking you to send his your reel.
Right.
Mike is very professional. By this, I mean he's I see there are a lot of people out there who kind of like Mike is trying to build a connection with them, and then they are gonna be like completely fucking like wasting the opportunity to work with him because, for example, he's asking you for real. And why do I need to cast? Why do I need to send my reel? So I think one of the biggest lesson Mike taught me is basically like to always be humble
Mhm.
and always have like always have the you always have to send your stuff when someone, a casting director
Mhm.
or a stunt coordinator, asks you to send your stuff. Don't let your ego dictate everything. Like, of course, Mike knows me and maybe he knows other people as well, but you need to send your updated reel and all that. So I think it's important to always be humble and keep your ego in check. I think that's what most valuable lesson Mike taught me.
Yeah, I mean that shot's there. He's telling you to take the shot. Take the shot.
Exactly, that's it. And in I always say that a job is a job, right? So in this industry, everyone knows each other's. So I think it's very important to keep your ego in check. Don't be one of those people who go like, oh well, I'm coming to the job with you and whooping, but I have to choreograph every fight scene there is that I'm gonna play. Or don't be the guy like, oh well, I created this amazing like style, but I can only
Mhm.
use that on this movie. You have to be open,
Right.
man. If you get called to play a boxer, you're not gonna be fucking kicking, right? You're gonna be
Mhm.
boxing. So
Right.
that's yeah, keep your ego in check, let's say.
Right. I gotcha. You've worked a lot, of course, with Tim Mann. I've heard you say without Tim Mann, there's no Brahim Chab. When you are working as like a stunt assistant coordinator or anything with Tim Mann on sets, what is your role on set while working with Tim Mann?
To bring him coffee.
Okay. Okay.
No, no. My role with Tim, it's pretty much, when I work with him, I would say I'm kind of like a person who's gonna be like by his side. I train the actors with
Mhm.
him for him. I kind of like run the choreography at times when he needs it. I would sometime, if he asked me, I would tell him a few suggestions, like, okay, maybe that looks better. And then he would tell me, okay, what do you think of this? I say, oh yeah, that looks better. Maybe it would be better if you did it this way. He might listen, he might not listen, he might tell me to get lost. Me and Tim, we're like very, very close friends.
Mhm.
So, and mostly what happens is like he always brings me and then he puts me in the movie. So, for
Right.
example, I would assist him on something like Ganapat, for example, and then I would play, let's say, the main bad guy of the movie. So it's always been like that kind of thing. Like he would bring me to kind of like assist him, and then he would put me in the movie. Let's say, same on Abduction. It happened the same on Abduction.
Right. One of my favorite things about Tim Mann's choreography is like there's one thing choreographing and working with someone like Scott Adkins. Scott's one of the best working today. He's my favorite. He's always going to get the job done, but Tim Mann can always cater to the skills of whoever he's working for. So like I enjoyed his work a lot on something like Acts of Vengeance with Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very good. Banderas is not known to be, let's say, a martial artist, but
Mm-hmm.
like you can see, he looks believable in the fight scenes, and that's all credit to Tim. He's very prepared when he comes to the shooting. He always he has a very very good aura around him. You want to listen to him. You kind of like want to be like you trust him. He's very trustable.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't bullshit around. Whatever he says, it has to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to be this way or the highway, kind of. But he's a man of a few words, man. But he's a very very good person, like on and off the camera. Like I know people that might be good performers and might look like decent human beings
Mm-hmm.
online, but in real life they are absolute scumbags. But Tim happens to be a very very good person
Yeah.
on camera and off camera. He's a good person. He's a good human being. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Tim is the man, man. And no Brahim without Tim.
Right. Right. And so, like, how did you take sort of that experience of working with somebody who's able to craft those fight scenes for non-martial artists and take that into something like working for Dev on Monkey Man?
Well, you know, when I worked with Tim, the number one thing I thought I learned, I mean, I learned from him was to always like follow the script and try to tell a story through the fight scenes, like not just punching and kicking, but just try to get like
Mhm.
from A to B, tell a story through all these fights. So I learned that from him. And also I learned that no matter what happens, it doesn't matter how it looks like in the naked eye. What happens is what happens on that playback.
Mhm.
Whatever else, it doesn't matter at all. So you need to kind of like it's all about the camera, the angles, the way it's shot, the way you choreograph the fights and like make sure like it's not over choreographed and also I have a few tricks of mine that I like to use certain stuff like let's say I would see an MMA fight, for example, a cage fight,
Mhm.
UFC fight. I kind of like take certain things that I see in that cage and I try to put them in my fights. Like like I use some of the stuff that Khabib did to Conor
Right.
in the Conor versus Khabib fight. I even used like the knee that George Masvidal did on Ben Askren. I tried to put
Mhm.
something like this on Kimen. He didn't make it to the final cut, but I like to use certain things like that make the fights more believable, if you would like to say. And I use that from, let's say, MMA fights, Muay Thai fights, even street fights. I love to
Mhm.
watch videos and try to kind of like get some inspiration from this stuff.
Yeah. How much influence does Dev Patel have over the choreography? Because not just as the director or writer, but he's the actor portraying this character who no one understands this character better than him. So as in that sort of role for him, how much does he influence the choreography?
Well, I would say quite a lot because at first, when I got involved with the project, we had a meeting over Zoom, and he explained to me the motivation of the characters, every character of the movie, him, the bad guy, because both of them were going to fight, of course. And I kind of like understood what he meant. And there was some points where I took it a little bit too violent. So he would
Mm-hmm.
always tune me down and he would tell me, okay, that's might be a bit too much. How about this? Then the camera work, at first we had like let's say we shot the fight in sections. It was not overly cut, but it was kind of like okay, we we had cuts in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then they've kind of like changed the ring fights. He made them more into if he got them shot more into like a claustrophobic way, like to give the audience a feeling of nausea and a feeling of like not knowing where you are. It's almost like you wanted the people to feel like they are getting a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his input. And then when we got to the fight, like in the kitchen and also the restaurant and all that stuff, we kept the camera rolling longer. And it was again, it was to his credit because he
Mm-hmm.
felt like he could deliver. And we're like, okay, if you can, let's just do it this way. So, but for the choreography, it was kind of like he would give me like a few, let's say, tweaks. I would make the fight. He wouldn't change it that much. He would say, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
might be able to do this, do that. But yeah, some of the ideas that were a little bit too violent.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some of it. Some of them they kind of like. Did you see the movie?
Yes, yes, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay, some of it it kind of like disappeared in the editing room because I do believe some of the stuff was a little bit too extreme, and but they kept a lot, and that was very good. A lot of my ideas made it to the final cut.
Oh, very glad to hear that. I mean, it can't be, the level of violence we get in a lot of the movies these days. I don't know if you've seen The Night Comes for Us, but
Yeah.
can't get much more brutal than that.
No, yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. But again, the night come for us. It's an Indonesian movie,
Yeah,
so
they can go
you
crazy
know
over there.
they can go crazy, and I think it's they have more say over there, I guess.
Hmm.
But again, when it's Monkey Man is an American movie. It's produced by Thunder Road and Universal,
Hmm.
and Braun as well. So it's a little bit, let's say, the movie itself was way longer at first.
Yeah.
We had so much footage. I mean, the original script had a whole other, like a lot more going on that
Hmm.
got cut. So yeah, the Night Come For Us and movies like The Red, yes, you cannot get more violent than that. Yeah.
And I know you were you fought Dev in the one of their fights in the ring under a mask.
Actually, no, actually, two of the fights, man. The
Okay,
other
two of them.
character as well. That was me with a wig. So we had a lot of trouble to find, like, actually someone that was quite built,
Hmm.
and it was COVID. We couldn't bring people from overseas. Already, it was quite a nightmare to get me and my team to Indonesia. So we had in the whole stunt team, none of the guys had a six pack. Like
Right.
nobody looked like kind of like someone who was like kind of like menacing and tall and built. So in the end, I had to basically do the fights with the mask, and then I played another character with a wig, and yeah, we did those fights. That was one of the first thing we shot, like during the shoot. I believe that was. I think the bathroom was first, and then we did that. Yes.
How was Dev's directing on set?
It was chaotic, man. I mean, not because of him, but because of the whole COVID situation, man.
Hmm.
To be honest, he had a lot of weight on his shoulders because he had to perform, he had
Hmm.
to act, do all the fight scenes, do the director's duties. He hurt his hand, he hurt his toes, he dislocated a bit his shoulder. So in a way, it was the whole shooting was a big chaos. We had a lot of problems. At times, we had to shut down because of COVID cases. Uh, we couldn't bring stun guys in, so I had to keep count of who we use, change their looks, change
Hmm.
their styles. So it was a lot of weight on his shoulder. So I could see when we wrapped, he looked drained, man, completely drained, and he
I
performed all
bet.
the fight scenes himself.
Hmm.
So it was chaotic in a way that it took a big toll on him. That's what I'm trying to
Hmm.
say here. Like it
Yeah.
was chaos. The whole shooting was very, very, very tough for everyone. I mean, we even lost people on the shooting. One of the gaffer died. We
Oh, okay.
had like uh, like people who later on people who got COVID and passed away as well. So yeah, it
Hmm.
was it was chaotic, man.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier the importance of story within a fight, and I've heard you talk about how people remember the moments and the drama just as much as the action itself. How on making something like Monkey Man, what goes into crafting something memorable, something where you're gonna it's just good choreography in general while also focusing on telling that story. What goes into that?
Well, first of all, a lot of thinking because nowadays a lot of movies, a lot of people they just copy what's out there and they try to kind of like replicate something. If they tell you, okay, I don't know if you heard about this, but for Monkey Man at first they were supposed to have John Wick's team for the
Mm,
movie.
yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Um, then of course the COVID and all that. Then they came to me because I was in Thailand at the time. So uh, when they told me that, I was straight away thinking, okay, I need to do everything in my power to not make this look like John Wick. It has to
Hmm.
be looking like my style. It has to be looking like something that they might say before the movie release, oh, it's gonna be like John Wick, but then when they watch
Hmm.
it, they're gonna be like, that's
Right.
nothing like John Wick. So to my credit and I mean, I'm very happy that me and my team, we managed to do something that is completely different.
Hmm.
So it took a lot of time. It took a lot of thinking, and it took a lot of preparation as well to get Dev to perform all those fights. And I think the key point to getting something new like this, it was really to completely shut down any ideas about like we're gonna do the same as this movie
Yeah.
or that movie. Uh, I, to be honest, I never watched John Wick 1, John Wick 2, John Wick 3, John Wick
Mm-hmm.
4. I never watched them. I might look at some clips on YouTube here and there, but I, I try to stay away from action movies because it tend to kind of like play with my brain when I create something.
Right.
So I might go on YouTube and see something, but I try to stay away. And I believe, like if you watch some of the fights on Monkey Man, we try to give something different from for every fight. Like the ring fights, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to make it look like that place is hell, the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Claustrophobia, nausea, like a disgust. Then the bathroom, I wanted to give it a feel that was different from the Mission Impossible, more like a realistic fight where people get tossed around and kind of do more grappling. Uh, then when we go into the brothel when he's fighting the guy with the axe, um, that was more something that goes like life or death.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the end, with all those fights in the elevator and the kitchen and the bar fight, the kitchen was more into like Snowpiercer, how to go from A to B without stopping. If you notice in
Mm-hmm.
the kitchen, it's just going in one linear line without stopping. The elevator same, the bar fight same, and then the end fight, it was more how to really, really take revenge on someone. And if you notice, we use the high heel in the end fight. The high heel is a female prop, and of course, the bad guy in the movie, sorry for the spoilers, is a rapist in the movie.
Right.
So we use the high heel to punish the rapist.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted to give something for the story to evolve. And I think, the fights have enough violence and they have, they're all different in a certain way.
And you mentioned you don't really watch a whole lot of movies. Sometimes you'll catch stuff on YouTube, and I know that Dev found you through finding some of your some reels and stuff on YouTube. Just out of curiosity, do you watch like any of the people who are just kind of the YouTube making short films like Marshall Club or Art School Dropouts, anything like that? Brian Sloyer.
No,
Oh, just yeah, I wondered if you did.
no, never, man. Like really, like that's something like I know Martial Club. I know all the guys
Mm-hmm.
from Martial Club. Very talented people, amazing. Sometimes on Instagram, I see some of the stuff they do. It's like
Mm-hmm.
next level kicking is like it's the future of all this martial arts stuff. But to be honest, like I've been doing this for so long, like since 2007, that I take this as a job and
Mm-hmm.
I don't really look too much out there what there is. Like I said, uh, it might destroy my thinking process sometimes when I create something. But I don't really I don't really watch I'm sure it's great,
Right.
like amazing. The people who are doing previous these days, it's like they are next level. They do great things. But like I try to stay away in terms of like create my creating process. That's it.
I got you. I got you. Two more questions here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know across your career, of course, you've worked with Jackie Chan, Yuen Wu Ping, Larnell Stovall. Larnell Stovall is one of the most underrated people working today. I love all of his stuff. Of course, Tim Man, all those. What are sort of the different lessons you take in those? What must be very different environments of the China Hong Kong stuff of do it on the day. There's not really previs, nothing really planned. Larnell and Tim of previs. Like, what kind of different lessons are you taking from those environments?
Well, the luck that I have, like you said, I work in many places, so it got to my advantage because then I can adapt to anything. Uh, like for example, when I worked in China, Hong Kong, the number one thing I learned there is to be patient
Mm,
and to do as you're told. Like, do not try to come up with things on the set that you think that are good, and just follow what you're told. Don't
mm,
try to make trouble, because then you will work a lot. That's basically the reason why I worked so many times with Jackie Chan stunt team. Not because I'm awesome or because I'm amazing. There are plenty of people that are way better than I am. The main reason was I always did what I was supposed to do, and
mm,
then I would move on and do the next movie and all that. So that's why I worked many times with them. Um, then working with Larnell, I worked, I think, on two movies with him. I worked on Never Back Down,
mm,
and I worked on, I think I worked on Sultan. I think that's a Bollywood movie. Uh, Working with Larnell, what did I learn from Larnell? Um, I learned how to kind of like make in a short amount of time, how to shoot in a short amount of time, because
mm,
on Never Back Down, we didn't have any time to shoot. So he was very efficient with the camera, where he
mm,
put the camera, how he would like shoot what is needed, not overshoot. So I learned that from quite a lot from him. With Tim again, it was the storytelling through the
right.
fights, and yeah, that's about it really. Yuan Wuping, I don't know. I did only
Man
Man
of
of
Tai
Tai
Chi, I
Chi,
think.
but when Wuping is the same, it was how you do like you're told. Don't try to tell him like
Mm,
you're the best at this or at that,
right.
and yeah, that's about it.
The most knowledgeable person on set when the Yuan Wuping is there is Yuan Wuping.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just do like what you're supposed to do, and that's it. And
Mm,
like I said before, a lot of people that are awesome martial artists, are awesome performers, but there's this thing where they get on set and then everything vanishes. It's like they melt through the pressure. I saw that with so many talented
mm,
martial artists, stunt performers. They get on set and then they can't perform the choreography. They can't. Their timing maybe is not right or something like this. But it's not because they are not good or because they are not talented. It's just because the pressure on set. You doing movies, especially in China and Hong Kong, you have no preparation. You have zero previous. I did a movie that's coming out in July. It's called Customs Fraud.
mm,
I I didn't know what I was doing for the end fight until we actually got to the set and we were like, okay, this is what we're doing. So they would show me the fight, and then I had to perform it with the main actor, make sure I'm not nailing him in the face, otherwise the shooting is done. So that takes a lot of pressure. To me, it's basically another day at the office because I learned this way. But for some people, they completely lose every they can't adapt to that kind of work practice. So yeah, like I said, movies and like being on an actual movie set and being like on Instagram doing cool videos and all that, it's completely different. It's like, especially those Chinese and Hong Kong movie sets, Now, those movie sets, I don't know if you watch The Art of Action sometime with Scott.
right, with Scott
Even
Atkins, yeah.
himself, he said it many times, if you watch some of his interviews, some of these movie sets, they are unforgivable. The
Mm,
stunt guys in China and Hong Kong, they are very tough. Not that they mean bad or something, but when they get on that set, they completely switch. I
mm,
know this coordinator uh, from Jackie Chan stunt team, one of the nicest guy to go eat with. When you go outside, it's like he's super nice. You can go to eat with him, have a coffee. Nicest person on the set. He's super tough. He's one of the
mm.
hardest stunt coordinators I ever worked with. And yeah, movie sets, especially in China and Hong Kong, it's tough.
Yeah, I've seen the documentaries. I've seen the stuntmen afraid to work under Sammo Hung.
Yeah, there you go, man.
One last question I got for you here. Taking yourself back to a young Brahim, a kid watching Jackie Chan movies and training in martial arts.
Yeah.
Looking at your career of working with Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, doubling for Van Damme, what do you think would blow young Brahim's mind the most if he saw your career so far?
That I managed to do this all these years, and I could actually make a living out of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing, um, I, I took like a leap of faith, I would say, and I didn't know where all this would lead. I had no idea that I would be able to manage all these years to get the amount of success that I got, to be able to provide for my wife, for my kid,
Mm-hmm.
be secured financially, and have a roof over my head and all that stuff. I had no idea that doing all these kicks and martial art would lead to this. So I remember I was very worried and afraid when I started this career. A lot of people, a lot of family siblings, a lot of siblings of mine, they try to warn me to kind of like follow a very normal road and go, keep on doing my job. I was a phone salesman, so I, I, I would be like the young Brahim would be very surprised of how far I've got just by doing basically this job that to this day I'm still doing, which is, I'm going to be 40 next month. So to me, it's like just like how far I've got. I'm like, I'm quite proud of myself for the amount of success that I've got, and young Brahim would be very, very pleased. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
young skinny Brahim.
I mean, anybody should be. Brahim, thank you so much for your time. I can't appreciate it enough. I did want to sing you some praises. I know not a lot of people talk about Tekken Kazuya's Revenge, and I've heard all the stories about working on that movie. The final fight you have in Tekken Kazuya's
Yes,
Revenge,
we,
I love that fight scene.
me and Ron, right? Me and Ron versus Kane, right?
Yeah, Kane. Yeah, I just wanted to shout you out on an underrated, underappreciated fight scene. That's a fantastic fight scene.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Me and Ron, we worked hard when we did that fight. Yeah, with Kane.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir, for so much for your time. I'm gonna let you get back to the rest of your night.
Yes, thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Come back anytime you want. You have a good day.
Thank you, and nice movies behind you.
Thank
Good
you. There's a lot of
collection.
them. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Bye bye.
So there you have it, everybody. There was my interview with the fight choreographer of Dev Patel's Monkey Man, Brahim Chab. Tell me what you thought of it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to Facebook, where there's the Martial Arts Film Freak Facebook page, Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak, Tristan_Glover on the Twitter, and Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok. I will also link below any of Brahim's socials. I will have his Instagram down below as well as his YouTube channel, where you can find his various reels. So do all those things. Follow him, follow me, subscribe to him. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.